Hello family, welcome or welcome back to my channel. It is still your baby girl of life, Gloria Otiko. Today on the episode of how to get a house in the UK, I'm going to be telling you 10 mistakes we as immigrants make while trying to get a house. And this is inclusive of me, myself and I, because I have made these mistakes, I've learned from others, and I've put them all together. I've done it so you don't have to do it. If you think this video is like peppering you, please skip. This video is for encouragement purpose only. I've been through it. I don't want you to go through it. The first mistake we make is not understanding the market, not doing proper research to understand like what are the prices of houses where we really want to live. For instance, I want to live in London and I cannot afford it. I've not done my research to see what is the market like, what is the value for houses. This place I want to buy my property. Over the years, will this property increase in value? Will it decrease in value? If I buy my property here, what are the odds that this property is going to be resellable in the coming year? This property I'm trying to buy, how long has it been in the market? The property next to it, how long has it been in the market? Why is it that others are not buying this property? Why is it that it is available for me to buy it after so long of it being online? You need to understand the market. What is the value? And because you are also very anxious, you want to buy a property, you want to bid the first, especially if you're buying an old build, you do not want to be the one who has now overpriced the property because you're desperate. If a property is selling around that vicinity for like 120, but because you're desperate, you want this house to be yours. I'm not talking about new build, because new build normally you don't need to bid and all that. If you're buying an old property, you want this property to be yours because you're so desperate, you've decided to add extra £10,000. What is the tendency that the next 10 years you're going to get the value of not just your price for that money, the interest? How will you get that extra 10,000 cash that you have put on top of it? You need to understand the market value. The second thing is ignoring additional cost. I know, when you want to buy your property, the most important thing that comes to your head is the deposit. But do you know, you have to think about the solicitor's fee, conveyor fee, whatever fee, fee that, fee this, fee this. There are so many fees that are attached to buy a property. If it is the first property, you know you're going to pay for this, you're going to pay for that, stamp duty, legal fee, maintenance fee, solicitor's fee. Sometimes you also want to send somebody into that property to go and check, is this property, is it okay? Is this property okay? Because they're telling me this property is good. Of course they want to sell, but is this property up to standard? Those little costs can amount to thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars. So you need to make sure you have enough money aside your deposit for those little things that are actually extremely important. Personally, my solicitor actually added her fee to my deposit. So when I was sending her the self-deposit, I was sending her the solicitor's fee. So you cannot even owe. It's not like, oh, let me pay next week. No, it is very important. One biggest mistake, to stay to the end of this video because I'm going to be putting the good things at the end. One other mistake we make, it is not building our credit score. We come from a society where borrowing is like a crime. Borrowing is like a taboo. Borrowing is like, oh, you're poor, you're borrowing. That's why you see so many people will argue and say, do not buy property because that means you're borrowing money that you're going to have to pay for 20 something. Because we have this mindset of borrowing being a crime. But in a developed society, you have to borrow. Borrow is part of the system. I'm not saying you should go and borrow and be in debt or be in trouble, but borrowing is part of the system that makes this society work. So you come into this country, you decide not to build your credit score. I was like that. I made that mistake. In fact, the first bank I had in the UK was HSBC, or is HSBC, which I still use up to today. HSBC offered me a credit card. But, no. Moi, a whole me, Gloria Otiko, take credit? No. Thank you. Nobody told me. When we try to apply for mortgage the first time, they're like, oh no, sorry, well, you have no credit history, you have no this, you have no, nobody told me. I ran. I had to run and I went to collect credit card. It's not like you should be spending aimlessly or without thinking, but building credit scores is extremely important. Register to vote, build your credit score, borrow and pay immediately, making sure that all your direct debits, like your payments, put them on direct debits. Don't forget those little things. Do not owe something as little as your media, your Virgin Media, your internet can affect your credit score. You need to build your credit score. Start thinking of building your credit score the day you get yourself abroad. The first day you move abroad, start building your credit score. It is very important. Register to vote. It will add up. Those little things, you think they're not watching you. They are watching. Build your credit score. Not using a standalone independent mortgage broker. I made that mistake. First time we were thinking of buying a property, the only mortgage broker we approached was Bank of Scotland. And because they have partnership with just one lender, the rate they were giving us, the deposit they were requiring, because if you approach just one bank or one person, the only option they have is one. Unlike when we actually eventually got our property, we went to I don't know what you call them. They have more than 100 lenders under them. So if this person is not going to do it for you for 5%, this person is going to do it for 5%. Somebody's going to give you for 5%. So there's like competition. Your interest rate is going to reduce. Your deposit may be affected. So do not go to those little or those mortgage brokers that are attached to your bank, because the only person they will go to is the bank. Use local mortgage brokers, or even if they are not local to you, but those ones that have like branches, independent, like they can have like hundreds of lenders under them. Those are the ones you want to use. I'm telling you. Another mistake we also make is making emotional decisions. Let me tell you, in the process of trying to get this property that we are in just now, I had heartbreaks. You think somebody divorced me. You think a man broke my heart. There were days when I would cry, especially if you're trying to buy old build, because let's say you fall in love with one property, all your emotions are inside, and then all of a sudden, they tell not to give you the property. I've cried, I've prayed, I've fasted, I've told God, God, if you give me this property because I love it, give me this property. I do not mind that this property is located in a place where I've heard it's not safe. God is the one that saves someone. I'm going to be saved. Just give me this property. Making emotional decision and not being logical, not being practical, not being intentional, not thinking about this property I'm going to get. Is it financially advisable? The location, the whatever, the repayment, and not just making emotional decision. That is very important. I know this may not be applicable to everybody, but not involving legal advice. Sometimes you may think like, oh, it's not to buy a house. I can do it on my own. Let me tell you, you will see shiggy. Sometimes there are some little things, the T's, the I's, that your solicitor will see that you will not be able to see. So do not overlook the advice of a solicitor. Do not overlook involving your solicitor into your process, your buying, your purchase. Include a solicitor on time. They can even, you don't want to the time you've seen a property, include them, involve them, so they can even guide you through the process. Some of the documents that you need to sign to make sure everything is legal, please include your solicitor, and do not overlook the advice of a legal team in the house buying process. Overlooking property survey. This is also very important, especially if you're going to buy an old build, even new builds. I've seen new build that you buy the general seller's surveyor will say, oh, it's fine, but you now hire an independent surveyor who will then go in and tell you, no, do you know the roof is changing? Do you know the tiles are this? Do you know this is this? If you hire a surveyor, private surveyor, you may not even need a private surveyor, but if you think you need it, sometimes it is, you may need it, you may not need it. Having a surveyor go in and check, read the home report, read it in total, know the meaning between when they write 1, 2, 3, know that this needs fixing, this doesn't need fixing, and know what you're getting yourself into before you decide to go and invest the next 25 years of your life, or the next 10 years, the next 15 years, depend, into a property, into a debt, or into a loan that you end up regretting. failing to identify long-term need. For instance, you're just a newly married couple, you and your husband, and you feel, oh, I want to buy a property. You decide to go and buy a one-bedroom house, forgetting the fact that over time, by the grace of God, God is going to add to you. You're going to become 2, you're going to become 3, you're going to become 4. You're in a one-bedroom house, meaning the next 2-3 years, you may have or you will have to move again. Now, are you going to have enough money that time to buy bigger property, or do you just buy bigger property now, even if it's not too big, something that is, reasonable enough size for the future? You have to think about your long-term plan. Am I going to be here for life? Am I going to be here temporarily? Finally, I will say not exploring government scheme is also one mistake we as immigrants make. When you move into a country, you don't have that much information, including myself. I never know things like help to buy or shared ownership. Help to buy, some of this scheme will help you save your deposit, and then they will add something on top of it. Although you have specific time that you cannot deduct, remove that money, and it must be used for, let's say, your first time. It must be used for your first home, but some of this scheme will help you to be, number one, to be more focused. Number two, you have extra cash. And another thing is shared ownership, which I've not seen so many immigrants do this, but it is an option where the government gets a part of that property and you own a part of this property. There are so many things. There's so many mistakes that we as immigrants make. These are just a few I can remember off the top of my head. If you know any other that you think you can add, please add in the comment section. I'm going to be there watching and reading your comment. Please remember to like, to subscribe, to click on the notification bell, and please share to help somebody. Let me know what you want me to talk about in the next episode of Becoming a Landlord. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to follow me on my other social media platform. I remain your humble baby girl, your baby girl of life, Gloria Otsiko. See you later, and